the chit-chatting.
What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler, episode number 286.
286?
Whoa.
286. That was my first computer.
That says 6, right?
I didn't have an 088 or 086. 286.
Yeah, cool. Styling.
So let's go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced. George, what's up?
Hi.
George? How's it going, man?
I'm here this week.
You're here this week.
I guess.
I
normally work at Automatic, but I'm currently out on sabbatical and killing time until I go back to work in like a week and a half.
It's been that long already?
Yeah. It was beginning of June I went out.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
That's what's up.
Time flies when you're not working.
I guess
That's
so.
when you are working also. I would just like to point that out. Because I've been working my bootay off, and I still can't believe it's whatever month it is.
Well, speaking of which, what about you? Tell us about yourself.
Oh, yeah. We didn't do that part. Oh, hey. I'm Faye. What do? I make WordPress, preach WordPress, teach WordPress, freak out about WordPress. My mom's calling me. That was my mom.
Round cue.
See, look. My mom wants to FaceTime.
She wants to join the show?
Should I put her on?
No.
Yes.
You should not.
Yes.
She's with my little nephew. That's fine. Anyway, this is not interesting. What is interesting is Steve.
I am interesting, apparently. I am Steve Zangen. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup. Jason.
Oh wow, we're introducing each other. That's awesome. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. I do another show here on the network called WP Blab. Feel free to go take a look at that. We happen on Thursdays, and we actually posted one on Wednesday this week because I was busy on Thursday. Life happens, and as you get older, more life starts happening. It's pretty insane.
And then you're like, you know what? Screw schedules.
For some reason, we turned into the local news there, and that's for weather. Over to Jason for traffic.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
We're just trying new formats.
Right.
Well, we're just trying to keep things live and fresh.
So what's been kind of cool about this particular like whole time of doing WP Watercooler is that we've spent all these we spent all these episodes, probably the first like 200 of them or so, 250 of them, pretty much like coming up with a topic beforehand. We'd come up with a topic and we'd have it all figured out. We'd like get all these people on. We'd do all this stuff.
That's not true. Like what?
Now we don't have any of that figured out. Now we don't have any of that figured out.
What show you were doing for the first few years there, but I don't we did plan topics. It's not like we had everything figured out.
It's kind of like for the flip version of WordPress. Like for the first releases were just flying by the seat of their pants. Now everything is like top down. This is what we are going to be doing in this release in advance, and so forth and so
exactly.
on.
And you're like, so we got this Gutenberg thing. You want to throw it in there? All right, let's just throw it in there. Cool.
Here's the thing, though. We did planned topics, and we'd stay on topic for about a minute and 15 seconds, and then just fly off the handle. So it didn't matter.
Which is why we gave up on the whole idea. And that's why I have people that are like, dude, what's the topic this week? Maybe I want to be on the show. And I was like, you could always be on the show because we don't know what the topic is going to be.
Exactly.
So because of that and why I brought that up is the simple fact that we really don't have a topic figured out. We didn't even talk about anything during the pre-show. Russ was actually on the pre-show for a little while at a WordCamp Minneapolis. And they had people and speakers talking and all. He was in this big, huge room and stuff. So that's why Russ isn't on today. Yeah,
he was gonna be on, but okay. I have something I want to talk about.
Go.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Run away, run away.
The latest, greatest hack. Malware.
What the hell just happened?
Malware has its own.
Go to a segment of the old Where in the World Carmen Sandiego show.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a big old hack this week, and with the ton of malware.
I actually don't know about this. I've not been paying attention.
Yeah.
I've been living in the closet during my sabbatical, so
living in the closet.
For my sake and the folks of those that are not tuned in the audience, how about you detail it?
He's like, shoot, I really want to know about that. Can we hear more about that closet, George?
Fine, I'm out of the closet now. Okay.
Yay! Okay, wait. So the hack, it was a redirect hack. If you want to see it, you can go to longreadzines.com because I still haven't taken it off of there. lbzinefest.com. and you can see how it works because it's still happening on the site. So here's the deal, though. What happened is it's a jQuery based thing. It got in through Ultimate Member, which I've never used, so that's not how it got in through me.
Ooh.
And then some.
I have a site that uses that.
Yeah, everyone's like, Ultimate Member, and then some other thing. Anyway, it's in the jQuery files, but it's doing a redirect, so it's like moves you in. I had multiple people. The one person who told me, they're like, "Is this supposed to be like this on our website?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, I clicked that button a bunch of times."
Oh no!
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Don't click the button.
I clicked this link in my email.
Yeah. And I was like, and that explains so much about Russia's success. Like, that's all I have to say. Like, phishing, not as hard as you think it is.
You know, actually, it's funny. This isn't the hack I thought you were talking about. I'm not aware of this one. I thought you were talking about the WP, well, not the WP CLI, the FAR hack, the PHP hack that's been going on.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear about that one. Maybe probably because I wasn't affected. This is the div tags. It's here. I'm gonna link the
div themes and Ultimate Member plugins.
Security
has a blog post. I'll drop it into the show notes.
I already did.
That's okay. Crazy. Okay. So is it redirect? Because what happened to a site that I found that does it that may or may not have been mentioned is that it takes you that asks you to set up notifications.
It does two different things. One is allow, and there's two different sites that it goes to. Limits and allyouwant.online.
Interesting.
You should never click things. I'm just going to say this in case you don't know. Never click things. And don't use the media uploader. Okay? You're done. Safety on the internet. No.
So, I hear there's this great new thing people can do, just like static HTML websites. I hear it's impossible to hack. I've heard. Unless someone gets FTP, then you're out anyway, but...
We should all go back to movable type.
Yes.
It's happening.
Or text files. Mark down websites. We're done.
If you really want to be secure, stay offline. Anyway, the point is that is one of those things. So it gets into a site, and then it gets all into your whole account, and then you call your host, and I know that my hosts won't be able to help me with that, right? Like I know that because well, I don't necessarily know that, but that's not part of the thing. That's why security's there. They want to charge you extra, blah, 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 blah. Here's how they make money, right? Great. But it is really, really annoying when you ping your host chat and you're like, hey, so my entire account has been hacked. So like all 10 or more sites that are on there now have this infection. And they're like, oh, that's really sad. Regrettably, we can't help you. Here's a link. And I was like,
well,
no, here's the thing. If I were not so I'm in the web space. I'm in this space. I know that is what they're doing. Steve is dying right now.
Yeah.
Okay, just talk. It looks like you're doing a pee dance.
I'm waiting till you're done, which might take the whole episode, but go.
My point is that if I were a quote unquote regular person, if I were normal, and I would message them about the thing, and that was my answer, I was a little mad anyway, but I would be so mad.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would too.
You mad, bro?
I was mad.
So we've talked about this before. It depends on how much. It depends on how much you value your website. Is it something that you value for doing business? Are you making money on it? But it depends what your website is. And if you do value your website, you should spend the money for the proper hosting and monitoring that you need to, because these things will happen.
Yeah,
right?
This is this account that I have is like my old account. I don't use these ones anymore, and so I just have it there, and all of my newer stuff, it's all on managed hosting or whatever. And then I just I've just set up some domains. Anyway, I just kind of ignored it and had one site on there that I was using, and then that's what happened. So I have bad practices. I did not. This was my fault. I accept responsibility for it.
If you're using a site that you value, right, you should have a decent host right? A good WordPress managed host might do some of that monitoring for you. You should have, you should have some sort of security monitoring, like security or SiteLock or something along those lines, because they'll send you an alert if something like that happens. Right? You should have these things in place.
No kidding.
Right? So not every host is created equally. So a lot of hosts are going to tell you, hey, we provide you the box, we provide you the rack, right? But
the box and the rack?
Right. But
this is what you're saying?
But the software is yours. It's your responsibility. You put it there. Hang on, I have kids wanting to talk to me. Yes. I'm busy. I can't right now. I got it. I got it.
My mom's calling. Your kids are calling.
It's like that news thing that happened where the British guy was talking. Came in. That was awesome.
I'm waiting for the nanny to come running in and grab her and take her
it
out.
was not the nanny. That was his wife. It was not the nanny. I just want to be clear.
Oh,
yes,
man.
that was his wife, and you were making assumptions.
Most hosts are
everyone else did, but sorry.
Are politely or not so politely going to tell you the software is your responsibility. You put it there.
Yeah.
I know. I just said I accept responsibility for it. That is not the point that I was making.
But Steve, it was a one-click install, and they
totally get it.
Thing that happened after the click. I don't know.
None of that is what I'm saying. I'm saying is that there was not actually. It was completely like. So I know what to do, right? I do know what to do, and I just kind of went to my host to be like, "Hey, do you guys know about this? Do you want to make sure I don't infect anyone else?"
We'll put you in the queue.
FYI.
Doctor.
And then we're talking about a big host. This is a large host. I'm not going to say their name.
What's it rhyme with?
It rhymes with might pound.
Okay.
And this is not good for so if this happened to someone's site who was a DIY or whatever, I don't believe in self-hosting anymore. That's really what I'm coming out with. I just need you guys to know that it's just done. It's too crazy out there, and people who don't I can fix it. It's whatever. But the people who don't have that, the business owners or whatever, they have to be on managed hosting. They just have to. There's too many threats. There's too much stuff going on. They need the support. If I were a regular person and I called pipe sound, then I would, be really angry, and I would hate WordPress and all of those things. So I don't really know what my point is.
Well, I guess you need to buy good insurance. Is pretty much what it is.
Yeah,
you need to buy good insurance.
You have a great point. You have a very valid point here, right? So for anybody not say that is watching the water cooler, right? And there are many people that are not say.
One or two.
You should invest money in hosting if your website is something that you value, right? So you should be looking at a WordPress managed host, and there's lots of good ones out there. But somebody that is going to take responsibility or at least ownership of a problem and help you through it if you're not technical, right? That's what a good host will do. Now they may not fix it for you, right? But
yeah, they didn't even do that. It was sad.
But they may give you some guidance as to where to look.
Yeah, they said I didn't need their link, honestly, but they sent me their link that was here's how to clean your site after a malware attack. And I was like, this is the lamest article ever. It would it had script in it, and it was all this stuff. And I was like, what awareness do people have about who their customers are?
I think we've all heard the joke about when you see a spider in your house, the only way to get rid of it is to burn your house down and start over. But when you get a malware infection on your website, honestly, that's not the worst idea in the world.
Guess what I'm doing? Just moving all of it. I don't care about that site.
By which I don't mean necessarily delete your entire site and database and everything, but reinstall all your core files, change your salts that are in your WP config file, reinstall clean versions of all your plugins, delete your directories, and put new copies of things there that are going to be non-infected.
See, now, if that had been in the article, I wouldn't have been quite as annoyed. Because that's actually good advice. That's good actionable advice that actually the everyday person can take. And again, I wasn't upset that they didn't give me advice I couldn't use because I know how to solve the problem. But it made me just think about how infuriating that would be for anyone else, honestly.
But I think the thing is that
I don't know that I agree that that's good everyday advice. I think George's advice is perfect, but half of our listeners, or more than half of our listeners, all three of them, just tuned out to that, because that's a very technical thing that George just said, right? They don't understand what salts are or how to do these things.
That's true.
Because most of our listeners are not say.
I forgot he said salts.
So, like I said, George's advice is right, and there's plenty of great documentation on doing exactly that on the WordPress Codex. It's there, but most people are not technical enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of it, I absolutely adored the a product that Securi used to offer, which was just, if your site is hacked, go to them, pay them that $80 or something, and they'll clean your site for you.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped offering that in favor of everything being like monthly plans, ongoing, which for a lot of people is
annual
better.
Only now.
Okay, fine, annual only. Regardless, subscription base instead of actually my site's hacked, please fix it for me now. And I used to recommend them that for all the time. People, my site's hacked. Okay, just call these people; it'll get fixed. I don't know how subscription stuff is good, but I don't know exactly if folks are willing to do that as much. So, I mean, I wish there was another service, and maybe one of y'all knows about one that does good, just like for X dollars, we'll come in and cover most of the bases for you.
Yeah, I was going to recommend WP Site Care, but they're no longer around. Is there any services like that anymore?
I mean, Maintain got bought out by WebDev, and I don't think they do one-off fixes.
Russ would know, but he's not here. He's not here.
Yeah. I honestly don't know. I would like to know one, so I have something I can recommend to people.
There's not, that doesn't exist right now. I really don't. From what I've found, maybe it does. We should ping people.
A lot of it is most easily solved if you do a little bit of preventative maintenance and have backups through whatever provider you want, but make sure it's off-site backups, not through your hosting company, because if your hosting company turns on you, you don't want to be locked into them having the only copy of your data.
They turn.
So what should you do to kind of make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen? Like, what's the what are some of the things?
Backups.
So, I mean, would like a web application firewall help with this? Like having something that's going to stand between your website and the rest of the internet to be able to at least have a better way of being able to kind of block any of these types of attempts?
WP Engine.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I am just basically, I'm taking all my sites onto managed hosting. I'm taking all my client sites onto managed hosting. I'm like, this is it. This is where we are now, because unless you're a developer, self-hosting is too dangerous.
And that's just what I recommend to all my clients, right? If you're hosting WordPress, you should be on something like a WP Engine or Liquid Web, or another managed host like it. There's plenty of them out there. Those just happen to be the two that I partner with.
Yeah.
Oh, was I supposed to say what they rhyme with instead of the actual names?
Bumblebee Engine. I don't know how you rhyme that one.
No, it's a tough one.
Bubble Foo.
Huh.
Well, anyway.
I think having a few of these types of things to kind of make sure your site isn't going to have any issues, especially find a good web host. If you can do some type of web application firewall, definitely do something like that. Don't have really lame passwords for any of your accounts on your site that can be totally enumerated. Just like George says, if something did happen, change the salts, because what the salts are going to do is make it so that if someone's already logged in, that they won't continue to stay logged in. So that's good as well.
What about the peppers?
I have a lot of the salts
now.
I'm going to reiterate what George said about backups. I think backups are critical, right? And so George made a great point. Not just the backups at your host. If you have a way to back up offline, do it. Have some local backups. Have a local copy of all of your code.
WordPress.
What?
WordPress is so great for that. It's all remote. They have 30 days of backups. Depending on the one you pay for, it can either be daily or instant. WordPress has been one of the most, just the easiest to use. And I even had a client, a completely non-technical client, have an issue, and I had, helped her set up WordPress, whatnot, and she used the restore from WordPress to put her own site back. She fixed her own site that was broken, and that is like, I know, right? Isn't that exciting? It's like, it really works. It's amazing. It's an amazing.
Let's talk about that. The critical thing to a backup is the restore. Right.
Yeah.
If you have a backup without a restore,
anybody can make backups, but if you can't restore, you got problems.
Yeah. I mean, we've done a lot of iterations on WordPress recently involving faster restores to make it much simpler and faster to basically spot the point of the restore where you want to back up to. Yeah. No.
And that includes custom post types and custom fields and custom all the things.
It's the whole shebang. It's everything. It's everything. It's all your files and your database. So it's basically like an undo button. That's how I describe it to my clients.
And it even includes some scanning of the code in your site to see if there's any exploits or anything that it can spot and warn you that, hey, your site may have been compromised.
That's awesome. And that's the key, really. What we're talking about is not just the database, right, where somebody can inject some content, but the files, because they can get in and corrupt your files. So if you're not restoring those, malware could still be there after you've restored the database.
That's the case with this one. There are codes in the, where is it? It's in the includes.
Yeah.
It's in actual files, so there are codes in there. That's what I just said. There are codes in there. No, there's some. Hey, George, did I find him? How sad.
He dropped off. He must have cut out for some. I don't know. I don't think.
Sorry.
It's tough to offend.
I was propping WordPress. Come on now.
So the hack that I thought we were talking about was the PHP code execution hack that we were talking about on Facebook maybe last week, which is a more low-level thing, right? But it's a scary thing because there actually is a way for hackers to get into the server side of your website, and not just inject some malware. So that's the one I was paying attention to.
This is the one that came out from Black Hat, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What does it do?
It hoses your site. It's a technical term.
It hoses it? No, but I mean, like, does it take it over? Does it use it as a bot? Does it redirect? It's not redirecting. That's the one.
No, it's not a redirect. It essentially, from what I understood, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong here, but what I understood, it gives them pretty much full access into your server and your database.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if you had an e-commerce site happening?
Yes, I can. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah.
Ick!
Yeah.
All right, I just want to point this out right now. If there's anyone listening who has an e-commerce site who is not on managed hosting, that's your job for today.
Yes.
And also next week, find yourself a managed host. Most of them do free migration of your existing site. You know, you may have loyalty to whoever your host is. Just freaking move. Just do it. Just move.
Since you mentioned it, I do want to give a plug for WP Engine's migration tool, which is amazing. It's really it's a one-click thing. It's really easy to do. It's great. But Jason, I posted the hack for the FAR hack into the show notes, so you can post that for people to read up on. But it's a scary one, and from what I understood, I did a little bit of reading on it last week. From what I understood, this is not new. It's been around for a while. It just has never been patched.
Whoops.
Yeah,
was it like a known without a patch? It was like a known vulnerability that was posted without having a patch, or it's just no one posted about it?
This is a known vulnerability.
Yeah, I was listening to a show that I've been listening to for quite a few years now called Security Now. And Security Now is owned by a company called GRC, which you probably have gone to this website. It's probably the ugliest website I've ever gone to because of just the how old it is and how like dated all of the interface and everything looks. But the guy who runs it, Steve Gibson, he kind of goes through a bunch of different security issues that come up, and every time Black Hat comes up, he gets super excited about it just because of all the crazy vulnerabilities that end up coming up. And so over on their show Security Now, which I'll have links to in the show notes here, they actually do extensive show notes where to the point where they transcribe everything that their base says, including all the links and everything. So feel free to go take a look at that.
I'm reading an article from August 20th, which was ago that says security shortcomings let attackers exploit weaknesses within WordPress's PHP framework, allowing already registered users without admin privileges to run exploit code. That doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, and that's the FAR code is the same stuff that's being used to be able to do PC or WP CLI. So that's pretty interesting to see that. I mean, that's kind of how the application is executed anyhow, because you're just executing PHP on the command line. But yeah, interesting stuff and pretty, these types of things. I mean, most of the hackers that are out there that find this type of stuff, or not hackers, but just like white hat type hackers, find this stuff and then they'll responsibly go to the organizations that are the ones that are running this and say, hey, I just found this thing. I'll give you 2 weeks until you can, actually figure it out. And if you can patch it, cool. If not, I'm going to go out and tell everybody in the rest of the world, hey, there's this cool vulnerability. Let's go and have fun with it.
Well, they also do it for bounties, right? So I know I actually know a couple of hackers that hunt bounties. And so companies like Samsung will pay a hacker to go find the vulnerabilities. And remember that when the Samsung found that all their TVs were listening all the time?
Right.
That was a hacker that found that, and he was able to earn a bounty because he found that to the tune of something like several tens of thousands of dollars. I'm wondering if
HackerOne.com is the one that a lot of folks use for bounty hunting with security stuff.
Yeah,
isn't there one for WordPress?
I'm wondering if WordPress is paying bounties, and that'd be a question for Aaron Campbell.
Hey, Aaron. WordPress paying bounties? Just kidding. Didn't WordPress start one of these? Or I might be confusing this up. So like,
it's through Hacker. Yeah, it's through HackerOne is what the one that they're doing.
It wasn't through Tide, that new thing.
Yeah, HackerOne.com/WordPress is where you can get the information about that one. Yeah.
Steve's like, yeah.
I'm not a hacker. I can't do this.
I'm not a hacker either. I can't do it. I kind of feel like the bounties are like the people who pick up the birds and the limes.
Right. And then they go charge them and then go set them free.
Yeah. And like it's just like everything is crowdsourced, hacking, repair. I feel like we should have some sort of like, we need to like this gig economy in WordPress somehow where you can just like maybe you just rent a WordPress website for a minute and then take it back. You don't have to do anything. I just need it.
Just so you know, Gutenberg is actually eligible for bounty. They have an entire thing on here for Gutenberg as being eligible for it.
Ooh, I know we only have 2 minutes, but did you guys see the thing about how there's now Classic Press? Did you? No. So there is a group of people who are forking WordPress at 4.9.8, and they're calling it Classic Press, and they're like, no Gutenberg. They're like the Never Gutenbergers.
Is that a hashtag, Never Gutenberg?
I don't know, but I think so. But anyway,
where do I find Classic Press? Because all I'm finding is a bunch of coffee making stuff.
Yeah,
I will try to find it for the show notes.
Awesome.
I'll look at it in my. I was reading it on my phone this morning, so it's not on the computer. We'll post it in the show notes.
I guess when you fork something like this, you're gonna have to maintain it. So they're definitely gonna need to actually maintain this code if they're serious about it.
I was like, I don't want WordPress to stop at 4.9.8. This is not a good stop.
It's classicpress.net, Jason.
But it's hosted on like Ghost.
Actually, I'm interested because this opens up like a whole parallel universe that's going to be happening.
It does. It's very strange. I don't know who's in charge of it. Maybe we can talk about it next week because I totally just brought that up like 2 minutes.
Next on Classic Cooler. How's it going, guys?
I wonder if there's some
CP. They call it CP.
I wonder if there's some disgruntled old WordPress team lead that's now in charge of this.
Oh, this
it
is
seems
awesome.
It seems very like refuse to grow. Like, come on.
It'll maintained fork of WordPress 4.9.8 without, in bold, Gutenberg, focused on community-led development.
That's awesome.
Wow. Never Gutenberg. Hashtag Never Gutenberg.
Make the switch. Get notified when we launch.
Steve, are there any like Mondays that are available that we could start a Classic Press meetup?
just love the net. I'm really excited about classicpress.net.
It's Bizarro Press is what it is.
That's awesome.
I wonder what theme this site is made of.
I'm gonna start bizarropress.net.
I really want to wait. We gotta go, right? We're done here.
That's it. We're done. Thank you very much for the two of you.
Wait. I have to tell you something. I just looked up classicpress.net on what WordPress theme is that, and it says classicpress.net does not appear to be a WordPress site.
Built with. Dude, I'm built with.
I don't know.
That's awesome. Classic Press was made in what was that? WordPress in WordPress 2.
Oh no! All right. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
All right. This is our
topic
for next week.
Definitely topic for next week.
We'll have to figure it out. So I say thank you very much for all you folks for being on the show, and go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe where you can learn to subscribe to this stuff, both in audio and video format. If you're brave, I'll talk to y'all later.
By the way, Built With does show that classicpress.net is in WordPress. So
that's
good.
Okay.